a bunch of the wonderful members of our committee here today to share about what we've been up to in the past year. As Mia said, we are a very active committee. We like to host lots of events and make sure that the word is getting out to the community about teen dating violence awareness and prevention. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So our agenda for today is we're going to start by doing an introduction to the committee. Then we're going to be playing a little icebreaker game so that you kind of see in action what we like to do. Then we will be discussing what teen dating violence is. After that, we're going to be doing our year in review where all the committee members will get to share different projects that we've done over the past year. And then we'll share a little bit about what we're doing this February for Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month and share about some upcoming projects. So the Teen Dating Violence Committee is a subcommittee of the San Diego Domestic Violence Council, one of the many wonderful subcommittees. And we are an interdisciplinary team with members from Health and Human Services, nonprofit, education, law enforcement, and other community partners. So there's lots of different perspectives in the committee and different people who are working with different populations, and we're able to accomplish a lot together because of that. And the aim of our committee is to increase awareness, prevention, and education about teen dating violence. So as I mentioned before, Magali and I are the co-chairs of the Teen Dating Violence Committee, and we both work at Vista Community Clinic as health educators, and we run a youth prevention program at Rancho Buena Vista High School. Magali, did you want to add anything? Okay, great. And before we get started today, we are going to play a game of Family Feud. So how this game was born was that we wanted to come up with a way to have youth be more excited and engaged in data collection and looking at data within their community. So we were able to interview over 140 high school students, and we asked them all the same question, and then we turned the data into the Family Feud game. So if you've seen this show before, you'll be familiar with the style of the question answer game, essentially. But I'll explain it so that everyone's on the same page, and we'll have to do it a little bit differently just because it's a webinar. So the chat is active. So what we're going to have you do is you'll put your guesses of what the top 8 answers to the question we asked are in the chat, and we'll give you 3 minutes to complete this. And as correct answers are guessed in the chat, we will reveal them on the board. And if the committee is able to guess all of the top 8 answers within the 3 minutes, then the committee will win the game. And otherwise, we will just reveal the rest of the answers so that everyone can see what the data we collected was. Does that make sense? All right. So this is the board. And the question that, or actually, let me get my timer set up really quick. I'm going to put up 3 minutes for everyone to answer these questions. We'll see if it'll load. Okay, here we go. So you will have 3 minutes to guess in the chat what the top 8 things that couples in high school fight about is. So I'm going to start the chat or start the timer, and you can put your answers in the chat starting now. Okay, I see in the chat someone says jealousy. Yes, that is the #1 answer. 41 students said jealousy. I also see clothing. And yes, that is the number 8 answer. So 4 students said that clothing was something that they fight about. I see social media. And our number 6 answer is social media or texting. We had 11 students report that that was the biggest thing that couples fight about. I see friends and family. And that is our number 3 answer. 19 students said that. Okay, I see other boyfriends or girlfriends. So I would consider that to be cheating, which is the number 2 answer with 33 responses. Okay, I see going out. That one wasn't exactly on here, but something similar. Someone guessed sex. That was actually the number 9 answer, so it didn't make it on the board, but it was reported by the student. Let's see. I see money. A lot of guesses for money. We actually did not have that on the board. Privacy or access to cell phones. I think that would be considered under social media or texting. I see control, drug use, social and sexual influences of other people, the couple's parents, jealousy, money, friends, a college choice. That's a good answer. Respect, lies.
Was communication one of them?
Communication is one of them. That would be our number 4 answer with 18 responses. Okay, there's about a minute left. We have 2 more answers left on the board. So give your best guess in the chat. We have values or traditions not in common. That's a good answer, but it was not on the board. Okay, Jose guessed food, and this is actually my favorite answer. Our number 7 answer is food or where to sit at lunch. We were so surprised that we had 6 students who said this. It always makes me laugh when we reveal that one. Okay, I see PDA, politics, trends. I'm surprised we haven't gotten this one actually. Oh, you know what? I see Vivian said activities together. So we'll give that to you for quality time or effort. So with 10 seconds to go, you all answered all the questions. So congratulations to the committee. You won this round of Family Feud. All right. So thank you all for participating in that game. I hope you found it fun and enjoyable. Every time we do this with students or community members, everyone's really interested in it. And so we found that it's a great way to collect and share data to get people excited about it, which can sometimes be hard to do. So now we want to look at some more data that has been collected by outside organizations that really focuses on the prevalence of teen dating violence in San Diego County. So on this slide, we have the results of the Youth Risk Behavior Survey in San Diego from 2019. And in this survey, they found that 6.1% of students have experienced physical dating violence in a relationship. 10.4% of students have experienced sexual dating violence in a romantic relationship, and 20% of students had experienced emotional violence in a dating relationship. So these numbers are alarmingly high when you think about it, especially because these are young people who are in some of the first relationships of their lives. And this is what they're learning is normal and what they're seeing with their friends and other people that they're observing in relationships around them. And then data was collected again in 2021 by San Diego Unified School District, and the numbers only went up. So if you look at this, the rates of physical, emotional, and sexual dating violence have all increased, and that was over a span of 2 years. And then if you look at the bottom, you see that that LGBTQ students are affected by these forms of violence at much higher rates than heterosexual students. So it's really important to work with these groups too and make sure that there's awareness of what a healthy relationship looks like, not just in heterosexual relationships, but in all types of relationships. And with that, I will pass it over to Violetta. We're going to move into the portion of our presentation where we share what we've been up to in the past year. So Violetta will share about partnering with educators in schools.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's a tough act to follow. So yeah, so I'm really happy to be here as part of the committee, the Teen Dating Violence Committee. So I know that I'm one of the education representatives, but we have a few more from the San Diego State University and also someone from San Diego Unified. And we are always promoting to our school community if there's any individuals that are interested in participating to please, we welcome their participation because they're on the ground. So it's really great to have the perspective of people that are at the actual schools with the students to get a pulse of teen dating violence, of what they're hearing and what they're experiencing. Go on to the next slide. So this 2023 year, calendar year, we partnered with the Teen Dating Violence Committee. So as a committee, we provided 2 training opportunities to our school community. One was in February of 2022, and that was actually a really cool one. The Teen in the Lead. So there was teen students, and Luis is going to talk a little bit more about this, but so 87 participants participated in this one. We had 13 school districts that participated in this virtual opportunity, and the teens leaders addressed questions, and they shared their insights about teen dating violence, and they shared on how adults and school staff can better support teens, and they also gave a glimpse of how teen dating violence affects teens. So it was such a very, very well-received training. They really enjoyed to hear their perspective and their leadership in this topic. So that was really enjoyable. The other meeting that we presented at was at the school nurses resource meeting. This is a really good, I mean, this is an opportunity to get in front of school nurses throughout San Diego County, through the one, school districts, charter schools. So 31 school districts participated, 10 out of county districts participated, and then 6 partner agencies were part of that meeting that we presented at. Again, talked about teen dating violence, really the 101, the importance, and really a school nurse. You get students coming into your office all the time, and you don't know what they're struggling with. Sometimes it is a physical ailment, but that physical ailment could be because something else is happening in their life. So it's really important that they are aware of teen dating violence, and how this happens in our students, and what, as a school, what you might see coming into your office, so that way they could have some information, like conversation type of tools, and also resources that they could refer either the student and their in their family to outside resources. Go on to the next slide. Okay, so another thing that we've been trying to promote, and hopefully you all could help us, is that on the San Diego County Office of Education webpage, and Magali, I think she's going to put that in the web. There you go. It's on the chat. We have a dedicated webpage on teen dating violence prevention. And if you visit that page, if you scroll down to more to explore, there's about 5 different topics there that you could, the accordion style that'll open up. And on that, there's the best practices guide for TDV and prevention and intervention in schools. And then, the teen dating violence in schools, a training that's available. And then information about the February TDV month, and then the poster series, and then healthy teen relationship classes. So we're going to go on to the next next slide. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead and click through. Yeah. So one thing that we did is that what we find is that we send out information either, when educators come to a training, we do send out the information, but a lot of times, especially if they're just dealing with something with a student, maybe a school counselor, sometimes they just want to have the information on hand. They don't, like they remember that maybe they went to a training and there was this really good handout. So what we did is that we broke up some of the information on some of those handouts and just put it on our webpage, so that way they could have a quick reference to some of the information that is available to them. But they also have an opportunity to click on there, and they could download the PDF, a 2-pager there, so that way they could have it on hand, or they could just go on here and look at the information that they need, especially if the student is in a crisis. Go on to the next one. So we've had several training. That we had one last week, so we'll be uploading that. But we had a great opportunity to record the training because it's nice because a lot of our educators they might not have that time during the day, or maybe they signed up for it, but then something always comes up. So it's nice for them to have that available, those resources available. The links on there on the webpage, it'll take them to the actual recording. We'll also be adding the slides to that, so that way they could reference the slides to the recording. So that's something that's available to anyone in our school community, or anyone that's accessing the website. Okay, next slide. And then on the web page, it's there all year round, and even in the training, they don't have to wait for February to incorporate the TDV prevention. They could do this all year round. And on the web page, you could do a quick reference to see, what's available on the website. What are some ideas? If we want to do a school community thing, what are some resources that we could use? What's an idea that we could use? You could see I'm wearing orange today. So if I wanted to have a wear orange day, that's something that's an idea that I could get from the webpage. And then also, what if I'm a classroom teacher, or if I'm a school social worker or a counselor, and I'm doing a group, or if I'm teaching a class, there's also some information here that was put together for high school students. A teacher or a counselor could pull some curriculum on engaging students with relationship spectrum activity. There's a high school one, and there's also a middle school one that they could use. So it's nice to have that readily available on the webpage. But again, if they want a handout, they could also click on that, and then they'll get this handy dandy 2-pager that they could share with their community, share with the school community, or with other with staff on campus. Let's see, I think I have one more or two more. This is really helpful. So many times we have our schools that, they have relationships with a lot of the representatives that are part of the Teen Daily Violence Committee, all these great organizations. And sometimes you have schools that are like, can you give us the information? Because we want to make sure that our people are able to provide some of these, classes. So it's great for schools, because sometimes that's something that they would love to do, but they also would love to know how to partner if they have maybe they have a tabling event. Maybe they do want to bring someone on campus to provide classes. Maybe is there something, because some of our schools you find that maybe they do a lot of virtual tutoring, virtual classes. So it's great to know that they could contact any of these organizations. And that's what I love about our committee, is that everyone that's part of the committee and that's part of these organizations, they could provide the support any way that the school needs. And probably the biggest thing too is that they're also able to provide that at no cost. And that's something that many schools, that they struggle to know what are the resources, but what are the resources for a fee, and what are the resources that are at no cost. So it's really nice to be able to partner with all of our partners throughout the county, and everybody is just willing to just help and provide the services.
All right. Thank you for that, Violetta. I always feel like you're such a good cheerleader for all of us community partners. So last year, as a part of our Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, one of the things that we did at Center for Community Solutions is create a social media campaign. I should also introduce myself. My name is Ariel, and I work at Center for Community Solutions. My pronouns are she, her. Great to be here with all of you. So that video isn't going to load. I tried to make it work, but it won't. We created a week of action on Instagram to try to engage youth where they're at, and do some, light activism that's not a super heavy lift, but does raise awareness and start some conversations. So we sent out emails to all of the schools that we partner with and our community partners, And, we're able to reach a lot of adults in that way to then spread awareness for our social media campaign. So you can see down there at the bottom, our week of action, we had a couple of different days. And then if we go to the next slide, I can share a little bit about what that looked like. So we sent out over emails to over 40 different schools, organizations, and community partners. And if you go ahead and click through these. So the first day was the week of action calendar. These numbers underneath each of the days represent the statistics on Instagram. So when we're looking at this, we're looking at reached means this content was pushed out to be seen by approximately this many other Instagram users. So our week of action calendar reached 174. 24 different accounts engaged with it, and that can be a range of different things. So maybe they sent it to a friend, maybe they liked it, maybe they downloaded it, maybe they clicked on it and opened it to another page. So that's kind of the whole bucket of ways that folks can engage on social media or on Instagram. And then the other ones are a little bit more self-explanatory. That post had 21 likes. It was shared 4 times, it was saved once, and it gave us 13 profile clicks, which means people are clicking into our Instagram page to be able to, see what else is on there or go to our link tree. We then posted about different national resources and news updates, sharing a little bit more about what engagement across the country looks like. And what some of the activism that folks are doing up in Sacramento or nationally looks like, so folks could be a little more connected to the greater community. As you can see, that post also did pretty well. Then we did Orange Day, which shameless plug here, we are doing Orange Day today as well. So if you happen to have a picture of you wearing orange, you can send it to CCS_prevents or check out our social media page today and see what our Tuesdays Wear Orange looks like this year. And then on the 9th, we shared a healthy relationship pledge. And so that one really required folks to go even further. And we had at least 10 pledges signed through our virtual platform. So this was pledges that folks took via social media, not through anyone on our team sharing it directly with youth, which we were doing as well. And then finally, we had a reel of sharing your green flag. So this was really an opportunity for folks to talk about what are things that indicate healthy relationships for you. Reels tend to do better on Instagram. If any of you are on Instagram or know about Instagram, the videos just pop up. So it reached 612 folks. It was viewed 650 times. That doesn't necessarily mean that people watched it all the way to the end, but it was, something that popped up on people's feed. And so this was really, actually there's one more. On the 11th, we did a love languages gift challenge. So that's the image on the right-hand side there. Folks could screenshot it and then add the different images for what the answer to those prompts are for them. So the way that they like to feel loved or appreciated is blank. So this was just an example of, one of the ways that our team is trying to reach a broader community than just the folks we can get in front of in February, because we know that, where we have limited resources, and this was a way to kind of spread the word in a wider way.
So thank you, Ariel. I'm Liz Clark, and I am the mother of 2 survivors of teen dating violence. And I'm going to talk about the lighting of the county administration building, which I believe we're 3 years running now. If we can go to the next slide, we can see how beautiful it looked. This is from 2022, and I'm just going to tell the story of how this came to be. So thank you so much to Mia Hall, who has submitted the application through the county, and to the district attorney's office. That was Claudia, and I think Tara may have also been involved in sending out the notice to the media. We did a press release, and the night of the lighting, as you can see, was just absolutely gorgeous. And so my husband and I went downtown, and we were enjoying a beautiful evening outside and taking some photographs. And I see one of the television news vans parked there close by. And so I shamelessly went up and asked them, are you going to do a story on Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month? And he looked at me like I was an alien and said, no, I don't think so. And so I was disappointed, but, you know, understood that there might actually be some other news in San Diego that they were there to cover. But before we left, I caught that cameraman filming the building with no one in front of it, just filming it and how pretty it was that night. And I thought, well, maybe there's a chance. So that night I turned on the news, and lo and behold, they had taken that image, combined it with the press release, and they did a story that night on Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. And then a few weeks later or so, Luis and I did a newspaper interview from that same press release. Fast forward to 2023, we do the same thing all over again. Only this time it wasn't just one news agency that responded, it was many. And I inadvertently turned Luis into a television star for a month. So he did quite a few interviews. I know he went down to the studio and was in, had to do the whole get up early and be there to do an in-studio interview. So it just grew exponentially. So just really pleased with that. Thank you again to Mia, who arranged that through the county, and to the district attorney's office for making all the contacts with the media. That's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Liz. Hi, everyone. I'm Luis Canseco from Community Resource Center. I'm the DV Prevention Program Manager there. And so I'll be talking about the PULSE presentation. So the PULSE presentation, Violeta mentioned it earlier in the presentation. It was very fascinating. It was one of the, in my opinion, one of the greatest experiences that the Teen Dating Violence Committee has hosted, because we hosted the presentation, but we didn't present. We didn't lead this training, right? This training was led by students, by teens themselves. And what was cool about this is that it was not scripted. We did not tell them what to talk about. We just went to them and we asked them, hey, you teach us about teen dating violence. You teach us, what do you need? What do you as teen and your peers need from us adults to help prevent teen dating violence, right? And so please check out the full presentation on YouTube. It's on the San Diego Domestic Violence Council channel. I can also, thank you, Magali. Magali just linked the YouTube video, so please check it out. It's about 50 minutes, I believe. But yes, the PULSE is a group of kids, about 15 to 20 students, who participate in this club called PULSE, Peer Assisting Listeners. And think about them like young counselors. That's what they are, right? They're young counselors who talk to their peers about many different topics affecting teens. The school kids can go to them to talk about things, right? Sometimes kids don't want to talk to adults about certain things because they are shy, or they don't want adults to know about certain things, right? And so this club, the PULSE, they're trained to talk to young people, and they're also trained to report what needs to be reported to adults, right? To the counselors, to the school counselors. And so another thing that the PULSE do is that they get trained on different topics. For example, we as CRC, we train them every year on teen dating violence. And so what they do with this information is that they go and present to their classes, right? They present to many classes at the school about teen dating violence, right? So they pass on the knowledge, and it's pretty cool because now they present themselves, right? Teens to teens. And so in this training, we asked them, right, to teach us about teen dating violence, and they did an incredible job, right? I learned so many things that day. For example, right, the word that we use with teens. A teen might not call his abusive relationship violent, but he or she might call the relationship toxic, right? So toxic can mean many things, but including violence. And so we need to be careful with the language as well, and not minimize, for example, the word toxic, if, you know, because sometimes, and I'll say this, you know, lately we've been romanticizing the word toxic and toxic relationships. You'll see it everywhere, right? People making fun and people being proud of being in a toxic relationship. So we need to stop romanticizing certain language words, right? And let's pay attention when a student says that they are in a toxic relationship, it can well mean that they're in a violent relationship, right? So let's go ahead and ask more questions. And something else that the PALs really talked about and emphasized in their presentation is that self-awareness, that teen dating violence prevention starts with us. Everyone, kids, adults, everyone being self-aware of their own actions, right? And this is something that we always teach parents as well. If we want healthy relationships on our teens, we need to be healthy as well with our partners. We need to model that, right? We need to preach what we practice, right? Like that's what we need to do, because sometimes it can be very easy for us to give advice to others, but not follow our own advice, right? We are all guilty of that. I'm guilty of that, right? I teach about healthy relationships and I still find myself in situations where it's not the most healthy, right? And I think that's okay, right? As long as we are aware of it and we fix that as we go, we take accountability of that. I think that's part of us being humans and making mistakes, right? And so the PALs in this training, they emphasize that. So let's go ahead and watch a 2-minute snippet, and then we'll keep going.
Long time, but you know, they've tried to help me as best they can, but you know, not all people are that lucky. Some people don't have adults who are constantly trying to create that safe environment. And especially in our culture, as a Hispanic, we have machismo culture. So what that means is kind of like toxic masculinity. It kind of paints the man to be the man of the house, and they have to be strong. They can shed no tears because it's embarrassing, and that's obviously not true. We are all human. We all feel emotion. And so just kind of also validating certain things that happen in, you know, Hispanic culture or in different cultures. Just because it's not your culture doesn't mean you can't empathize and you can't understand, because a person who is living in a certain culture, that's all that they know, that is all that they understand at that moment in time. And that's not to say that they can't change or they can't see a different perspective. It's more that, you know, going again, like validating your feelings and validating what that person is going through. And I think Mace wants to jump in for a second too.
Yeah, I just think that, you know, we talk a lot about it's hard when you're like a school talk. As a school, we can only do, you know, so much to educate teens about, you know, what healthy relationships should be, which is why I think it's also really, really important. And what we try to do a lot at the school is to just push out all the information that you know, that we're showing kids or that we think that, you know, parents should know about teen dating violence, sending it to parents, because it's really, really important that, you know, they're able to model that behavior at home and they can teach it at home, because once again, there's only so much that a school can do and have power to have. And then I'd also like to pass it to Ellery really fast.
Yeah, I think a big thing to remember is that just like when you're like still a tiny baby, tiny babies are always taking in all this information and absorbing it from their parents, and that doesn't necessarily stop when they get to teenhood. When we're teens, we're still looking around us and kind of replicating things that are going on. So it's really important that parents, but also administrators and teachers are modeling these good relationships and healthy relationships. And obviously we're talking about teen dating violence, but watching a good co-worker relationships. So teacher to teacher and teacher to student and administrator to administrator and counselor to student, all of those are really, if those are being shown as really healthy relationships, the teens will apply what they've learned even from those relationships to other parts of their life. At the end of the day, whether it is an intimate relationship or not, modeling healthy behavior is super important for teens to understand, like what we were talking about above, communication boundaries and personal autonomy.
Thank you, Allison and Magali, for presenting the video. And so as you see, they emphasize the importance of everybody practicing healthy relationships, right? It's not just the school's responsibility to teach healthy relationship, it's everyone's responsibility, right? And that starts with us. And so that's why I love the last event that the Teen Dating Violence Committee hosted at One Safe Place, where we invited the parents and the kids, right? Because that's so amazing to be able to teach the kids, but teach the parents, because we as educators and we as people who are advocates and trying to prevent violence, we are going to spend some time with the kids, but we're not going to be there for the rest of their lives. But we do hope that the parents are going to be there for many, many, many years, right? And so if we can build this bridge between the teens and the parents to have this trust and open conversation, I think that's a win for everybody, right? And so that's about it for me. Thank you, everybody.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing about that, Luis. That was a really cool project. And I think that project really exemplified what we believe as the Teen Dating Violence Committee, that the youth are the voices and they are the change makers. So it's really cool to see that in action. So next I'm going to be talking about the Teens for Healthy Relationships Conference that happened in 2023 for Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. So there's some photos from this event on the slide here. And then if we go to the next slide, we see that nearly 100 teens participated in this event. It was hosted at One Safe Place, and that was a great space to have it because there was lots of room for everyone to be there and interact with the presentation and play the different games. And the main part of this event was the film screening and a film called Amor del Bueno it was created by One Love Foundation, I believe. And it's a 15-minute short film that portrays a high school aged Latinx couple going through an abusive relationship. And at the beginning of the film, it looks like a really happy, cute relationship, but it slowly becomes toxic over time. And I think this was something that was really relatable to the students as they watched it, because a lot of times relationships will start out really great, but then they can become unhealthy over time. And one of the great things about this event was there was an option for students to text questions to an anonymous texting line. So they could ask their true questions and share opinions and beliefs without fear of being judged by their peers. And they were able to, Luis and Monique Myers were the two who hosted this event, and they were able to answer the questions. And a lot of the questions many students had, whether or not they put it in the chat. And I remember I took a group of students to this event, and on the drive back from the event, they were all talking about how much they learned and how much they enjoyed it. So it was really cool to see that. And if you look at the screen right here, you can see some of the questions that came through in the chat. So here it says, what if you're being mentally and physically abused by someone in your family, but they are nice sometimes? So that's just an example of one of the things that was shared by a student that Luis and Monique got to address with the group. And I will pass it over to Magali.
Hi, my name is Magali Hernandez. My pronouns is she, her, ella, and I'm a youth health educator at Vista Community Clinic. And I'll be sharing a little bit about our Breaking the Silence event, which was for our Sexual Assault Awareness Month and / Denim Day. So for this event, we had about 45 attendees attend this event, and with them, we also had the section of sharing anonymous text messages, because it was like I want to say a 3-session event where they did a small presentation and then did an activity, and then from the activity did a debrief. So the activity they did was in their shoes, which is like this experimental game where kind of it's like walking in their shoes and pick your own adventure kind of thing. And it has 6 different stories of the experiences of real teens that include sexting, pregnancy, homophobia, stalking. And the players get to, participants get to go through this activity and making the choices as if they were the youth in the scenario. And then as well with the texting line. These were some of the messages that were sent through the anonymous texting line. It was very surprising to see the different conversations that the students were bringing into our debrief or time together. And it was also a really great opportunity to, you know, share education and, you know, show up as a resource to these youth. And then I'll be passing it on to Jackie.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Jackie Ortiz. I'm with Lifeline Community Services, formerly North County Lifeline, and I will be covering the topic of the Action Against Domestic Violence. This was our event that we had in October. I will try and keep it quick, as I know that you guys have a lot of other things on your agenda still. Go ahead, Magali. So this happened, like I said, in October. We also held this event at One Safe Place San Marcos in the training room. We've been able to partner with One Safe Place numerous times for these events, and we really appreciate the partnership that we've been able to build with them. I think the youth have gotten really comfortable in this space, which makes it a little bit easier to facilitate a lot of these conversations. So thank you to One Safe Place for being such a strong partner for us. At this particular event, we were really focused on the family kind of dynamic of what the conversation looks like. So we held 2 separate workshops concurrently. We had one room for youth and one room for our parents, caregivers, and professionals. When we were talking in our adult workshop, this was presented by the CRC, Community Resource Center, and this was held in Spanish with a translation in English. We provided headphones to our English speakers, but we had a lot of parents participate in this, which was amazing. We really got to see them kind of come through as not only a community, but as parents that cared. Unfortunately, the Latino community does have a lot of machismo aspects to it. There's, you know, not a lot of space for dialogue. And we surprisingly had a few dads in the audience, which was really touching for a lot of us providers to be able to really answer their questions, let them have a voice in the conversation. Being a machismo dad to a girly daughter is hard. And learning to not be a machismo dad is even harder. Luis was able to really guide the conversation, allow for questions, and create a space where everybody was able to really share openly, share, you know, the different aspects of being able to have the value of those conversations with their kids. And it really spoke a lot of power into the room that these parents, these caregivers, the grandparents that were there really felt that this was a conversation that needed to happen, and they finally had somewhere to have that conversation. And then on the other side of our room, we were having our teen conversation that was held over with Community Center for Solutions, and that was in English because, you know, most of our kids are English speakers. We also offered a Spanish translation if it was needed, but they were all comfortable in English. They were able to participate in icebreaker activities, and the conversation was really geared on kind of creating, I believe it was a board of questions of kind of I statements. And Ariel, correct me if I'm wrong, I know that there was like a specific hashtag that we were using for this. That really got the youth to kind of start the conversation and really think of, what do I want to be asked? How do I want it to be asked to me? And what's the value in those answers? And really kind of sharing that dialogue with Ariel together and being able to kind of have that group discussion, but also a guided kind of conversation of, how do I tell my parents that this is unsafe? How do I approach my teachers that something is happening on campus, and really facilitated a healthy space for them to be safe, to be heard, I think more importantly, to be heard, and be able to continue to share that, which led to our coming together of everybody. And we can go to the next one. So that was our last part of our activity that day. We all came together and did a vision board. So we had the youth, some of them were there on their own, some of them were there with their parents, and they were able to all come together and create a vision board of what does a healthy relationship look like and how does that conversation look. So the vision board included how to talk to their family, how to talk to their friends, how to stand up for themselves, how to stand up for others when they see something going on, and really being able to reflect on those conversations. And it was really fun and interesting to see how much not only the youth got into the activity, but how much the parents were also into that activity and the different perspective that they had on it. Of really wanting to empower their youth, support the youth, and the youth really wanting to kind of be able to find their voice to advocate for themselves. So that was the big part of that October event, and I think everybody really enjoyed it. And again, it was great to see the adults and the youth really coming together in events where previously was really youth focused, but this was really a family thing. So it was really nice.
Okay, so that was all the different activities that as a committee we participated in 2023. So we are in 2024 now, and we continue to have different exciting upcoming events that we would like to share with the rest of the council. So let's move to the next slide. So our first upcoming event that we'll be having will be the Last Drop screening event. It's a sci-fi movie where we'll be bringing in the director and different local experts to talk to the youth. This event was very much guided by the Center for Community Solutions Youth Council. So getting a lot of their feedback on what they wanted to see in this event was really cool. So this event will be hosted on Saturday, March 2nd, 2024 from 2 to 5. It will be located at the Hoover High School Performance Arts Center, and we'll be providing different prizes and snacks for the students. We do have a RSVP that you all are able to use your devices to scan and to reserve a spot. If you are interested, you're also able to contact us and we'll share the information on how you could register or just learn more about the event. So another very exciting project that us as a committee are looking forward to doing. So this summer, we are hoping to develop a youth council where we bring different youth leaders and help them uplift their voices on the different topics of teen dating violence in San Diego. So a little bit about this council is that we're hoping to scout or recruit a cohort of 15 students and being with them with this youth council for a year. And like our target location would be San Diego. So not just downtown, but we want to reach youth from all over the county in order to kind of get a more perspective of the different issues that are happening in our communities. Reasons why the youth, if you know any youth that would want to get involved, it's to help them learn more about how they can help other teen relationships, prevent relationship abuse and issues that impact their community, have their voice be uplifted, empower other youth, participate in spaces that are traditionally adult-led. So for example, our youth teen dating violence committee, we are all adults in this committee, and bringing that youth voice, we believe that would really make a difference in the work that we all strive to achieve. And we also want to have the youth represent other youth in the San Diego Domestic Violence Council. And then that is all for our upcoming event. So if anyone has any questions, comments, or concerns, we are able to answer. If you are interested in joining our committee, we will be meeting tomorrow from 10 to 11:30. We're going to have very fun games, and we'll continue to plan for our upcoming events. So if you are interested in joining us, feel free to email us, reach out to us, and we will add you to our email list. you.
I see that we have one hand raised right now. So let me see. I've never unraised someone's hand in Zoom before. Magali, do you know how to do that? Or how?
Don't.
Mia, do you know how to
Unmute.
Okay, Jaren, you're able to speak. Just go ahead and unmute yourself. If you're having trouble unmuting, just you can write in the chat if you want.
Okay, it looks like they had nothing to add. Did anyone else have any questions or comments?
Thank you guys so much for providing this wonderful presentation. I don't know if anybody else on the panel has anything else to add. I know you guys have a meeting coming up tomorrow. And so if anybody wants to attend their meeting, which will be tomorrow at 10 o'clock from 10 to 11:30, I believe, just reach out either to myself or to any one of the panelists, and we can send you the link for that meeting. So with that, I'm going to give you guys back almost an hour of your time. Thank you again for coming, and look forward to seeing you all next month. And again, I'll be sending out flyers for the upcoming training, which will be, you'll need to register in order to get that link. All right. Thank you guys, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye, thank you.